Hello everyone, it is Hien from DH Garden Center in beautiful Kitsilano. You know that even without a garden, you can still grow one. Let me ask you something. When was the last time your hands touched the earth? Not the screen, not the steering wheel, not the kitchen sink. I mean, actual dirt, soil, roots, something alive. For many of us, the answer is I don't remember. We live in boxes. We walk on pavement. We rush from one task to the next. And while we do our best to survive, we forget what it feels like to grow. But here's the good news. You don't need a big backyard. You don't need a fancy greenhouse. You don't even need much time. Because even a tiny pot, a sunny window, or a recycled bucket on your apartment balcony can become a life-changing garden. This is a story about reconnecting to the soil, to nature, and to yourself. And if you have ever felt burned out, overwhelmed, anxious, or just tired of being indoors, then this episode is especially for you. You're going to hear why gardening, even in the smallest form, is one of the most powerful things you can do for your body, mind, and soul. How people with no space, no experience, and very little time still create micro gardens that restore joy and peace. And most importantly, how you can start today, right where you are, with what you already have. Let's begin this journey of green, growth, and healing. Welcome to Grow Something Small and Reclaim Something Big. Before we built cities, before we had passwords, paychecks, or prescription pills, we had gardens. They weren't optional. They weren't hobbies. They were life. Our ancestors grew food not just to survive, but to stay connected to the seasons, to their communities, to their own sense of power and patience. When they placed a seed in the ground, they didn't just hope for tomatoes. They placed their trust, their future, their identity. And today, even though we've moved indoors, that deep, ancient relationship with the soil is still inside us. Why do so many of us feel peace in the park? Why do our kids light up when they get to water plants? Why does a blooming flower feel like a quiet celebration? Because our nervous system remembers. Modern life may be made of steel and glass, but we're still made of earth and water. And that's why even a tiny act of gardening can awaken something primal and beautiful inside us. You don't need to live in the countryside. You don't need 5 acres. You just need one container, one quiet moment, one seed of willingness to grow. We weren't made to stare at screens all day. We were made to touch leaves, to feel the weight of watering cans, to celebrate new life. When you garden, even on a windowsill, you're not just decorating your home. You're returning home to your body, to your calm, to the natural rhythm you were always meant to live by. So, if something in you feels like it's been missing lately, it might not be another self-help book or another course or another app. Let's talk about healing, not the kind that happens in hospitals, but the kind that starts quietly, in the chest, in the breath, in the way we carry ourselves through the day. Now imagine this. You're watering a pot on your balcony. It's early morning. The light is soft. You're still in your pajamas. And for just a few minutes, you forget the emails, the bills, the noise. All you know is this. The soil is dry. Your plant is thirsty. And somehow, so are you. That moment, that's healing. Science backs this up, by the way. Numerous studies, from the University of Michigan to Tokyo University, show that gardening lowers cortisol, the stress hormone, reduces symptoms of anxiety and depression, lowers blood pressure, improves sleep, even increase serotonin, the feel-good chemical in your brain. Why? Because gardening is a rare gift in today's world. It's slow. It forces us to be patient, to tune in, to respond to something alive. It grounds us literally and emotionally. And in a world where everything is instant, growth reminds us that something are worth waiting for. Let me be real with you. When you're going through grief, or burnout, or a midlife crisis, you don't always need words. You don't always need to fix anything. Sometimes, you just need to plant something and water it and show up for it day by day, without fanfare, without pressure. That simple act becomes a kind of therapy. You watch the plant grow, and somehow you grow too. One woman I spoke with said, "After my divorce, I couldn't focus on anything, not reading, not work, not even therapy. But I started growing tomatoes on my balcony. Every morning I check them, water them, talk to them. And one day I realized I wasn't just keeping them alive, they were keeping me alive." That's the quiet magic of gardening. It doesn't shout, it doesn't perform, it just invites you back to yourself. Now let's talk about the physical body. We often treat the mind and body like two separate things, but they are not. When you move your hands in the soil, when you bend, stretch, squat, reach, you're activating muscles, improving flexibility and strengthening your joints. Gardening has even been called green exercise. And the best part, you don't even notice you're working out. You're not counting reps, you're not staring at a clock. You're just pulling weeds, lifting a watering can, supporting life. And your body responds with strength, balance, and better mobility. In fact, several retirement communities in Scandinavia now include gardening as part of rehabilitation therapy because it's enjoyable, effective, and deeply motivating. And here's the part no one talks about enough. When you create life, you begin to value your own again. The act of nurturing a plant becomes a mirror, a reason to get out of bed, a reminder that you too are growing. So if you've been tired, if the work has felt too heavy lately, if your screen time is up and your joy is down, start small. Start with a mint plant on the windowsill, a pot of basil near the kitchen sink, a chili plant beside the back door. You don't need to be a gardener, you just need to be human. Because humans, we're designed to plant, to tend, to hope. And gardening, no matter how tiny, is how we remember. One of the first things people say when they hear about gardening is, "I wish I could do that, but I live in an apartment," or "My balcony is tiny," or even, "I don't even get sunlight in my place." I hear you, and I've got good news. You don't need a backyard. You don't need a greenhouse or a lawn. You don't even need outdoor space at all. You just need to shift your idea of what a garden looks like. Because here's the truth. Garden is not a place. It's a relationship. And relationships can grow anywhere. So let's get creative. Let's talk about real, doable ways to start a garden, even in the smallest home. Got a window? You've got a garden. Even a north-facing window can host hardy herbs like mint, parsley, and chives. South or west-facing windows are ideal for light-loving plants like basil, rosemary, or even cherry tomatoes. You'll need a few small pots. You can repurpose mugs or jars, a tray to catch water, potting mix and seeds, or small starter plants. Every morning, open the curtain, say hi to your plants, give them a bit of water. That's your garden. Even the tiniest balcony has potential. Use hanging planters, vertical racks or shelves, rail planters that clip on the side. Choose dwarf varieties of veggies, trailing vines or flowers that attract bees and butterflies. Add a small chair, a cup of tea. That's your sanctuary. The place where you cook can also be the place where things grow. Line up a few pots by the sink or under cabinet light. Grow herbs you use regularly like thyme, coriander, or dill. Add a small grow light if sunlight is limited. It smells amazing, it saves you money, and it turns meal prep into something magical. Bathrooms often have the perfect humidity for tropical plants. Try pothos, ferns, spider plants, or snake plants. Place them near the window or hang them from the shower rod. Even your morning shower starts to feel like a walk through a rainforest. The truth is, when people say, "I don't have space," what they often mean is, "I don't know where to start." That's normal. So here's how you start. One container, one corner, one commitment to grow something, even if it's just a single plant. Because that plant will show you what's possible. And once you see that green shoot rising toward the light, you'll realize you are never lacking space. You are just waiting for a reason. Let's shift from the where to the how. Because starting a garden doesn't mean transforming your life overnight. It just means adding one small ritual to your day. And those tiny rituals, they add up to something powerful. Let me give you a few examples of what small-scale gardening can do. This is the simplest gardening starter kit. Just get 3 pots, any size, and fill them with something you can eat, like lettuce, spinach, or herbs. Something that blooms, like marigold or lavender. Something evergreen, like a succulent or snake plant. Place them somewhere visible, your window, entryway, or desk. These 3 will become your anchors, your reminders to pause, breathe, and connect. Take a shallow container, an old drawer, plastic bin, or wooden crate. Fill it with soil and plant a mix of leafy greens, arugula, mustard, kale, mizuna. In 3 weeks, you'll have a mini salad bar. In the process, you'll notice how fast things grow when they're tended daily. And so with your kids, if you have them, don't want to deal with watering every day? Choose hardy, low-maintenance plants. Aloe vera, zit plant, jade plant, sansevieria. These beauties thrive on neglect. You can go on vacation, skip a few days, and they'll still welcome you home with open leaves. You don't need to spend money on fancy planters. Use yogurt cups, tin cans, broken teapots, old shoes. Make gardening fun, creative, personal. Each container tells a story, and your garden becomes a reflection of you. Gardening is not about performance. It's not about getting everything right. It's about participating in life. And when you do that, even in a corner, even with recycled junk, you start to feel something shift. You start to believe in growth again. We live in the most urbanized era in human history. More than 56% of the global population now lives in cities. And yet, gardening has never been more popular. How? Because we've stopped waiting for land and started creating our own. The gardening revolution is no longer about fields and farms. It's about fire escapes, balconies, kitchen counters, rooftops, and even walls. This is the garden with no ground, and it's one of the most hopeful movements of our time. Let me take you around the world for a moment. In Tokyo, apartment dwellers grow tomatoes in shoe racks hanging from windows. In New York City, rooftop gardens have replaced entire parking lots, producing vegetables for local restaurants. In London, vertical farms use LED lights and stacked hydroponic trays to grow fresh greens all year round, with zero soil. In Mumbai, families in tiny 300 square foot flats hang herb gardens from curtain rod and water them using kitchen leftovers. This is no longer a trend, it's a quiet green revolution, built from necessity, creativity, and love. And here's the secret. You can be part of it. Right now, right where you are. Let's break down a few tools that make this possible. Vertical gardens. If you don't have floor space, go up. Vertical garden systems use wall-mounted pockets, hanging baskets, or ladder shelves to grow everything from strawberries to succulents. They're space-saving, beautiful, easy to maintain. Hang one behind your door, on a kitchen wall, or even in your shower. Hydroponics and an indoor kit. Don't want to deal with soil? Hydroponic kits let you grow herbs and greens using just water and nutrients. No mess, no bugs, no sunlight needed if you use a grow light. Many people grow full trays of lettuce under their cabinets using these. It's gardening for people who thought they couldn't garden. Smart planters. Welcome to 2025, where even your plants can text you. Smart planters are pots with sensors that tell you when the soil is dry, when to fertilize, and what the light level are like. Some connect to an app and literally say, "Water me today, please." If you're busy, forgetful, or just love gadgets, this is your gateway drug into gardening. The point is, you don't have to wait for someday. Someday when you move into a bigger house. Someday when you finally have a backyard. Someday when life slows down. Someday is now. Because this kind of garden meets you where you are. In the middle of the city, in a studio apartment, in a high-rise condo. And as you nurture it, you start to realize you can grow life, peace, and beauty, even without ground beneath your feet. Teaching kids to garden, growing more than plants. Let's talk about the little ones. Because while gardening is powerful for us as adults, for kids, it's something even more profound. It's not just about learning to grow vegetables. It's about growing character. Think about it. In a world of instant entertainment, fast food, and click to buy everything, gardening teaches the opposite. It teaches patience. You don't get a flower in a day. You don't harvest a carrot the moment you plant a seed. It teaches responsibility. Water the plant or it wilts. Forget the sun and it droops. Nature responds in real time. It teaches consequences without punishment and reward without bribes. There's a reason many early childhood educators now integrate gardening into their curriculums. It's not just cute, it's cognitive science. Gardening improves focus and memory retention, increases sensory development through texture, smell, sound, and sight, builds fine motor skills, encourages teamwork and cooperation when done in groups, enhances emotional regulation, and best of all, it's screen-free joy. I once met a father who gave his 6-year-old a small pot and some basil seeds. They set it on the kitchen windowsill. Every morning, the boy woke up, ran to the pot, checked the soil, gave it water, and whispered, "Good morning, plant." Weeks passed. The basil grew, so did the boy. He became calmer, more focused, and one night, the father overheard him saying, "You're my best friend, Basil. I love you because you need me." That's it right there. That's what every parent wants their child to feel. Needed, connected, responsible, capable of care, and a single plant can teach that. Now, I know some parents worry, but I don't know anything about gardening. What if I kill the plant? Or I don't want to buy expensive stuff and have it fail. Or my kid won't stick to it. Totally normal worries. But guess what? You don't have to be perfect. In fact, mistakes are part of the magic. A plant dies? That's a lesson. You try again. You problem solve. You learn together. Your child sees that even grown-ups don't always get it right the first time. And that's one of the most valuable things you can teach them. Here are a few easy starter ideas for kids. In green bean teepee, grow climbing beans in 3 pots arranged in a triangle with poles. They grow fast, and kids can even sit inside as it forms a green tunnel. Lettuce bowl. Fill a bowl with soil, sprinkle mixed lettuce seeds, water daily. Harvest in 2 to 3 weeks. Instant salad. Paint a pot activity. Let kids decorate their own pots with paint or stickers. They'll feel ownership and pride. Sticker reward chart. Every time your child waters, give them a sticker. Build consistency and confidence. Plant journal. Have your child draw what a plant looks like every week. It builds observation and creative expression. When kids garden, they don't just grow plants, they grow presence, they grow empathy, they grow resilience. And those things, they'll carry them into every relationship, classroom, and challenge they face for the rest of their lives. So give your child a chance to grow something this year, not because it's trendy, but because it's timeless. Because the hands that dig into soil today will be the hearts that hold the future tomorrow. Let's step back for a moment. You've heard a lot. Stories, studies, simple steps, emotional truths. But now, I want to ask you something real. What kind of life do you want to grow? Because when you start a garden, no matter how small, you're not just growing plants, you're growing presence, you're growing discipline, you're growing a life that's rooted in intention, not just reaction. You see, we live in a world that constantly pulls us outward. Notification, obligations, deadlines, noise. But the garden pulled you inward. It called you to pause, to look closely, to notice small things like a new leaf, a change in color, a soft fragrance that wasn't there yesterday. These aren't just plant observations. They're practices in awareness. They remind you, you're not a machine. You're not just a producer or a provider or a profile. You're a human being. And being takes time. Being takes care. And gardens teach us how. Here's what I know after watching thousands of people take this journey. People who garden sleep better. They speak more gently to themselves. They feel more gratitude, even in hard seasons. They get sick less, smile more, and carry a quiet sense of peace with them, even in chaos. Why? Because every time you care for something else, especially something alive and growing, you're practicing how to care for yourself. That tiny rosemary plant on your counter, that's your anchor on the days when nothing else makes sense. That jade plant by your laptop, that's your reminder to take a breath when the emails keep piling up. That basil your child waters every morning, that's the rhythm that brings your family together in the smallest, softest way. You don't need to move to the countryside. You don't need to have the gardener gene. You don't need perfect tools or fancy planters. What you need is a willingness to get your hands a little dirty, a willingness to slow down long enough to notice, a willingness to care. And if you're still with me right now, listening to these words, then I believe you already have that. You're not here by accident. You're here because something in you is ready. So let me leave you with this. You don't have to fix everything in your life today, but you can water something. You can open a window and feel the sun on your face. You can choose one plant, one pot, one corner of peace, and make it yours. And that, my friend, is enough. Because from one green shoot, entire forests are born. From one small garden, healing can begin. And from one mindful act of care, you change not only your day, but your life. The garden is not outside you. It begins in your mind. It takes root in your breath, and it grows with your love. Go start yours today. Thank you for watching. May your life bloom in the most unexpected, beautiful ways.